welcome. I have an amazing guest here with me today. His name is David Bradford. Welcome.
Thank you, Trina. It's a delight to be with you, and thanks for welcoming me so enthusiastically.
Well, I feel very honored. You have an incredible career and have for many, many years. And I just recently discovered you. In fact, David and I are going to be speaking at the LDS PMA conference in October. And so I knew you existed because of that. And then I was on an airplane flipping through a magazine, and there you were in an article. And I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. So I'm really honored. And in fact, it has been said that you are one of the most connected humans in the world. And so my big burning question is, are you related to Kevin Bacon?
I met Kevin one time in a store in New York City, and I haven't traced the genealogy, but I could do that pretty quickly using something called Family Search. I haven't examined that. My 8th great-grandfather straight back is William Bradford of the Mayflower.
Oh.
Landed at Plymouth Rock and so forth. So
wow, that's really cool. Well, you know, they always say the six steps of separation from Kevin Bacon. So I figured you were connected to him somehow. Wow. Okay, so wow, I have so many questions, and I know you've got to run. You are currently the CEO of Fluent Worlds. Right. And have been the CEO of many other amazing companies. Tell me really quickly about Fluent Worlds, and you talked about 3D, and how does that work?
Well, I will tell you that we're revolutionizing language training across the globe. No one has ever attempted to do what we've done, but we've done it. And from your smartphone, let's say you're native Chinese or native Vietnamese or native German, and you want to learn to speak English. Now, utilizing this little device, your smartphone, you can download our app from the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store and find yourself as a character in a 3D video game, walking through Central Park or virtual Las Vegas, or even a typical US restaurant, airport, hotel, and that sort of thing. There you'll interact with a series of game characters in the 3D world and be able to practice your English. How do you order food in a restaurant? How do you check into a hotel? How do you walk through security in an airport? We give you all of those tips and all of those language tools to help you do that in 3D.
How fun. I have one of my sons actually is a 3D animator for Blizzard. So
I don't
play the big games, but that's a big part of his world. And what a fantastic idea. I'm actually currently trying to learn Mandarin, and you know, it's hard. So I'm gonna have to check out the app. And
well, here's the deal. Right now, the largest global market for language training is clearly English. It's the language of the internet. It's the language of computers. It's the language of international business. And so I just got back from Dubai, and that's all we did for 3 days was talk English and, et cetera. But my point is 2/3 of every dollar spent around the globe annually on language training is just to learn English. So we started with that. However, to your delight, we're going to flip it to teach Spanish in the next 6 months. So that now you want to go to Spain or you want to go to South America, Mexico, etc. Now you can have our app on your smartphone and practice your Spanish. Then we're going to flip it to teach Mandarin. So you're third up.
Awesome. Well, I lived in Spain for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what languages do you speak?
Well, I speak French. I spent 2 years in the south of France on a church mission. And it was remarkable. Our best tool for contacting people to share our beliefs with them was simply the English language training class that we held once a month in a town called Nîmes, France. And so I've been teaching English, gosh, almost 50 years. And, but now we do it the smart way. We do it with what we call the virtual immersion method. Immersion is the big word that
absolutely
people use, right, when they want to learn. You went to Spain, you immersed yourself in the environment and learned Spanish.
Yeah, that's why I was an exchange student in Mexico first, and I had been taking tests in school and getting A's and thought I was so fluent. And then I landed in Mexico, and the first morning, my home exchange mom, was like, "Oh, te dormiste bien?" And I was like, "I don't know. Put that on a test, and I'll know what you said." I had no idea what anybody was saying, and so that was an immersion program.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
well, so. As you've been working with all of these various corporations, how did you get involved in this industry? And what advice would you have for other people that are interested?
Well, so quick story. I did, as you mentioned, go through a series of CEO roles here in the state of Utah, Fision-io, HireVue. We raised hundreds of millions of capital out of the Silicon Valley, became the industry leader in both of those companies. Then in 2015, I kind of retired from my chairman role at HireVue, and I took up the time to work with my wife. My wife's Dr. Linda Bradford. She is a PhD in instructional technology. And so while she was getting her PhD, she tested the efficacy of learning in a 3D virtual classroom versus the physical classroom. And after a year and a half of study, over 100 students, et cetera, it was found that learning in an engaging 3D environment is actually more efficacious, at least it was in that study, than learning in the physical classroom. The church, the LDS church, learned about our creation of these 3D worlds and said, well, can you create a 3D Mexico? And so we created a 4-city block area of Mexico, and pre-service missionaries, before they actually get to the MTC, would walk through virtual Mexico and into a chapel and meet the bishop, and that sort of thing. So that kind of launched us into the language side of it. And then the world is full of apps now. And so in 2016, we took our online platform, converted it to an app, and that's became Fluent Worlds and so forth. So that's where
that's so fun. All right, switching gears just a little bit. At this LDS PMA conference that we're both speaking at in October, you're going to be presenting a message about networking and the importance of that in any industry, really. And you're going to be sharing 6 up tips for networking. Can you give us a little sneak preview?
Well, sure. Sometimes the word networking kind of gets a bad rap, and you're out there trying to network to get something from somebody. I kind of flip the whole concept on its ear. The best way for anybody to connect and form relationships is first and foremost to show interest in other people. Trina, what do you like to do in your spare time? Tell me about your job. Tell me about your goals in life, etc. And so you get to know the person at a personal level, and you ask questions. As you ask questions, the law of reciprocity sinks in. And then they begin to ask you. Trina asks David, well, tell me a little bit more about your business, et cetera, et cetera. And then it becomes a win-win situation. So you first show interest in other people and what they are doing at any conference or whatever in order to establish the first thing of networking. So think first of other people and you'll be a successful networker.
And you call that, these are the 6 ups. So you call that one start up.
Yes, you start up your network by thinking of other people. Then you show up. Those people that will be showing up at this LDS conference in October, they have taken time out of their busy lives to go and be somewhere, to be out there, to meet with other people. Some years ago, it's been 11 or 12 years ago, I was asked to speak at a conference in Sun Valley, Idaho. Well, Sun Valley was a 6-hour drive one way for me, but it was a friend. I says, okay, I'll go do it. So I showed up in Sun Valley, Idaho, and lo and behold, at that same conference, another speaker was Steve Wozniak, the inventor of the Apple computer.
Yeah.
And I happened to sit, but when you show up, good things happen. I sat in the audience listening to Steve, and lo and behold, I introduced myself to the person next to me, and I says, well, what are you doing here? And she says, well, I'm Steve Wozniak's executive assistant.
Wow.
wow. And she says, tell me about yourself. So we had a nice chat. She says, oh, you're in the tech world. Can you stay after and meet Steve?
Oh,
And so that's what led to my meeting Steve Wozniak in Sun Valley, Idaho. I then invited him to be on my advisory board for my CEO role, then called Fision-io. And he became our chief scientist for a little Salt Lake City-based company because I showed up in Sun Valley, Idaho in July of 2008, 2009, 2008.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's a quick show. So you start up your network by thinking first of other people, then you show up, then you follow up, and then there's more to all of
Okay,
that.
that was a little sneak peek then.
Yeah.
There's 6 up, so you have to attend the conference to hear the rest of those.
That's right.
So out of all of the things that you've done, and we haven't even rattled off all of the things, what is the accomplishment that you're personally most proud of?
Well, I think that starts with family. I'll get emotional, but we have 17 beautiful grandkids and a great family and really solid. So I suppose that, along with the efforts of Linda, we've created a great eternal family. On the business side, there's been lots of awards, lots of things that have happened, but, it starts with connecting people. I remember years ago, I was working for Ray Norda, the founder and CEO of Novell. This is back in the early 90s, late 80s. And I said to him the same thing, well, what gives you the greatest joy in life? And it was interesting. His reply at the time was giving people work opportunities, giving them purpose in life. And so as you build these companies, as they expand from 5 employees to 1,000 employees, look at all the lives that you're able to bless via stock and options and different things that you give them in life. And so that, to me, gives me great joy as I see other people, are able to set their wings and fly because I've given them a foundation.
That's awesome. And not just even work, but dignified work and a purpose, like you mentioned, something that they feel like they're really contributing to the world. Because I think people want that. They want to not just have a job, earn money, but make the world a better place.
Well, our mantra at Fluent Worlds is to elevate lives through technology-powered educational tools. Elevating lives through technology-powered.
Great mission statement.
Yeah. And so as part of our mission statement, we're giving away a free copy of Fluent Worlds to refugee camps for any copy of Fluent Worlds that becomes a paid subscription. So if you know of refugee camps and so forth, what's funny about that, I was talking to a Jordanian judge the other day, and the nation of Jordan has grown from 5 million people to 10 million people in the last 5 years because of Syrian refugees. And I says, well, do they have smartphones? And she says, over 2/3 of them have smartphones.
Isn't that amazing?
They don't have anything else, but they've got their smartphone. So they can download our app for free and be able to learn English. And when you can learn English as a second language, your annual income increases 40, 50%.
Wow. They say a smartphone doesn't make you smart, but it sure opens up the world, and it can make you smart depending on how you use it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our mission statement. And we have another opportunity for your listeners to get involved in. If they want to email me at david.bradford@fluentworlds.com, I'm happy to share more on this. But in 1 month, we're going to be releasing a new version of Fluent Worlds called Fluent Worlds On Demand. So Trina, what languages do you want to learn? You mentioned Mandarin.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So you go into Fluent Worlds On Demand, you'll create a profile, say you're a native English speaker, you're fluent in Spanish, but you want to learn Mandarin. Well, then we'll connect you to someone in China who is a native Mandarin speaker, and you can meet with that person live in a 3D classroom online. And you'll be able to see them live in a webcam like we're doing now, but you'll also be able to teleport to a series of virtual environments. So there you can learn in context, and they can explain to you how to say security in an airport in Mandarin and so forth.
That's awesome.
And
Well,
that's gonna be a free initial launch.
that sounds really fun.
Yeah.
How is your strategy different than Duolingo or, all of these other apps? Is it
Well,
the 3D nature of it?
yeah, that's a big differentiator. So again, learning in context and engaging. So if you go out and you look at iTunes or you Google iTunes / Fluent Worlds, you'll see that we're rated 4.9, highest rated language training app in the world, over 1,400 ratings and reviews. Our users absolutely love us, and our retention is over 90%.
Wow, that's impressive.
So I think it starts with the 3D, but it also is our speech recognition tools. And if we had more time today, I'd tell you about it. But at a high level, the man who built the Amazon Echo, the Alexa system for the Amazon
Yeah,
Echo.
I have one sitting right next to me right now. I love them.
There you go. Okay, so when you call out Alexa, that software in the back end that's running that was built by a guy by the name of Jeff Adams, who's actually a graduate of Brigham Young University in Mass.
Really?
And Jeff's one of the godfathers of Siri and certainly the Echo. And so when he left Amazon after building the Echo about 3 or 4 years ago, I collaborated with Jeff, and together with our software engineers and Dr. Linda Bradford, we built the world's best speech recognition tools that help you analyze your voice and your sound at the phoneme level, not just telling you whether you've got a word right or not. It breaks the word down. And for example, if you said nice to mote you instead of nice to meet you, if you said nice to mote you instead of nice to meet you, it would break that down and it would show you that you got the sound right and the t sound right, but you missed that middle sound. And then it'll have you repeat it till you get it.
Wow, that's impressive, because I've used other software and it'll just give me this, you didn't say it right. And I'm like, it sounded good to me.
Right. Why did I miss it?
Right.
Yeah. No, this is the world's best speech recognition tools, clearly.
So in your opinion, what do you think is the most, besides English, what would be the next most important language to learn how to speak for business or career? And of course, it probably depends on which career, but.
Right. I would just say Mandarin.
Yeah.
I said about 5 years ago when I got into the language learning market, how China was emerging, and I'd been over there a couple of times, et cetera. I saw the growth of that nation. And theoretically, 25 years from now, there might be just 2 languages on planet Earth, Mandarin and English. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Now I'm overstating it to make the point. I mean, certainly in India, there are 1 billion people that speak Hindi, but the language of Mandarin and English will be the language of business and so forth. So I would look at President Nelson. What did he study? He studied Mandarin. And so.
It's smart. It's amazing. I've spent quite a bit of time over there, and they are all learning English, and Americans are kind of like, learn English and we'll talk to you,
Right. No.
But beyond the language, I think it opens up an understanding of culture, and even sentence structure helps you to understand how they think. Did you see the movie Arrival?
Can't.
If you haven't, you have to see
the aliens.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
yes,
I remember
and how
that.
the circular nature of their written language helped understand how they could see past, present, and future. I loved that movie. I just thought that concept was so cool. All right, I know you're running out of time, so I'll ask you one more question. Well, 2 more questions. I know you've been interviewed a bazillion times in all of your endeavors throughout your career. What has been one of the most, inspiring question an interviewer has asked you?
Wow. Well, I will frequently be asked, and I like the question, what is the one piece of advice that you have for, your listeners, et cetera? So that's a good one.
Yeah. And what would that be?
Oh, okay. You want the Okay.
I was going to ask you that question.
One of my frequent answers is, the world needs dreamers and the world needs doers. But most of all, the world needs dreamers that do.
Oh, I like that.
Right? And so you're a dreamer, Trina. You dreamed of a blog, you dreamed of, having a podcast, et cetera, et cetera. But you went out and you actually had to do something to make that happen. And I think that's where 90% of the failure occurs. People go, wouldn't it be cool if, my wife said, well, let's take video gaming technology and use it for something more than shoot 'em up games. So we said, okay, well, let's actually go out and build it. And that's why this has been very difficult and expensive to do. But having said that, on the long run, it's going to be a great communications tool across the globe.
Wow, that was a great answer. I love that. All right, finally, where can we learn about your new projects or connect with you or follow you or subscribe to you? Here's your big chance for a plug for communication. Although you did share your email address, which I thought was very generous.
Yeah, I've got the email address. People like to connect with me on LinkedIn. And so that's a good way. Find David Bradford on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find out there. But what I like, or Facebook, when people find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, I like a personalized note that comes along with it. Hey, I listened to you on Trina's show the other day. Thanks for doing that. That was amazing. And how can I get more information on Fluent Worlds? So, well, great. Now I'm going to accept your friend request or your business connection, and away we'll go. So that's a couple of good ways.
It all kind of boils back to that number one up, which is connecting.
Yeah, be interested in other people first and foremost. Ask them questions, and then good things happen.
Right. Well, thank you. I know you've got another thing to get to. You're a busy guy. And again, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me and my little audience. And thank you for your advice. And thank you for all of the good that you're doing in the world and continue to do in the world.
Well, Trina, you're sweet. We enjoyed it. And this has been fun. And watch for Fluent Worlds on demand here in the next 30 days. And connect with that Mandarin speaker over in Shanghai and form a new friend and travel through virtual worlds together for free on your smartphone.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Okay,
bye for now.
Bye. Take care.